Guys, I want to get loud all of a sudden.
Do it.
Sorry, I'm gonna.
It's you. I knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, guys, but I need to do that.
It is. You feel like Poseidon chucking that bugger down in the water.
Chucking that bugger. Did you butt out that deer?
I did not butt out that deer, but the next one I get, okay, it's getting its butt out.
Is that little Stevie out here in the back?
Drobop. Bow drop, I'm sorry. Drobop. Hello. Stay tuned. I'll be back after my seizure.
Every little chipmunk that was running around, everything's dead quiet, and I went, like, that just happened.
I saw what is in essence a nature-gasm.
Welcome to the Rotten River Pursuits podcast. It's a great time to be in Pennsylvania. A lot of things are happening, and we're excited to be around the Sonic Campfire. With me tonight, we have...
I'm Steve. I'm Will.
Uncle Buck.
And again, this is Dave Kyle with the Rotten River Pursuits podcast. Hey, Stevie, what do we have going on tonight?
We're going to talk with...
Another big show.
Yeah,
it's a big show every week, right?
Yeah, this one's special because we stumbled across this group of guys from central Pennsylvania.
We're coming back to PA. For the first time.
So we've traveled a lot this season.
We've been all over the country.
And now we're coming back to the home area.
All over the world.
And out of the country, yeah.
Good point, yeah. So, but we're coming back, and believe it or not, it's actually, when we say back home, it's like back home, like where we grew up. So it was really a strange coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking Bedford, Blair, Fulton, like that, the counties in central PA.
Yeah, right here. Yep. Right here at home. So we have with us right now on the phone, we've got Chris Palmer with J&J Outdoors.
Welcome, Chris.
Hi, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't not. I mean, when we stumbled on to your Instagram page, it's kind of initially how we found Chris and the boys. It's pretty pristine. I mean, we're really kind of impressed. And right in the header, it says from Central PA. So,
yeah,
we're going to be knocking on your door.
Yeah. It's great. Jared and Jordan, that's where the J&J comes from. Those guys are the ones that started J&J. It's been about 2 years ago, October. And just recently, this past summer, Tristan Deneen and I joined up with them, and it's been awesome because we're all from the same area here, and we all have the same interests. We love deer hunting, and it's just been an awesome mesh right off the bat.
Yeah, that's wonderful. When a plan comes together and you get the right group, it's wonderful. So we definitely can appreciate that.
When you don't have to work at it, it's going good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
so what is it that you guys bring to the outdoor industry? What's J&J Outdoors? Give us that 50,000 foot view.
Well, they're really about deer hunting. That's their main goal. Of course, that's been my love for a long time. I grew up in the Orange Army, when I was real young, and those guys have been the same way. And we love bow hunting. That's the most of what we've been doing, and we're doing try not to self-video. It's just so daggone hard, but we take turns videoing for each other, our hunts, and they have some episodes out there already. Everything's on the internet so far, but really their long-term goal is to grow the company into something that's actually broadcast. So, and these guys are really motivated. I've been really impressed by their efforts and what they've done, and they know how to hunt deer too. So, yeah,
we picked up on that. I mean, you got some horns on that.
Oh yeah.
So you guys are at J&J_Outdoors on Instagram. And so people want to check it out while they're listening to the show, J&J_Outdoors. And you have a YouTube page, correct? That's where most of your videos are now, right?
Correct. Yep. And they also have a Facebook page, but really the Instagram's been their main target, and that's where most of their followers are. And most of their updates they make on Instagram first.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about you here, Chris, before we dive deep into J&J Outdoors. Give us your story, your outdoors story. What got you started? Where your passions lie?
Well, that definitely starts with my dad. I grew up, and he's a hard-working, hard-hunting man, always has been. And like I said, I grew up in that Orange Army, a gang of 20, 25 guys, and shoot, back in the 80s, if it was a legal buck, you were shooting. And
yeah.
It's really changed since then for sure. But I always grew up rifle hunting, small game hunting, turkey hunting, all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely changed over the years. I've got bow hunting's my love for sure. And I guess I've been bow hunting probably since I was about 18, 19. And it hasn't subsided, that's for sure. I love it. We're going out tomorrow morning. I can't wait to get out there.
What do you think it is about bow hunting that makes it so exciting to you?
Well, I don't want to belittle what I grew up with because I have so many great memories, but it was so noisy and just intrusive. You know what I mean? So many people. And what I love about bow hunting is that I don't see anybody. It's quiet, It's just, and it's more about me and the deer rather than whether I happen into the right place as somebody drives him to.
The goal of archery is to hunt the deer while they don't know you're there. And I think rifle season, you kind of, a lot of times you are driving deer.
You infringe on that big
yeah, definitely. I mean, your deer are kicked up. They're moving. I mean, we have a huge influx of people in Pennsylvania in the woods for that 2 weeks. So I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, I have some of my best memories, growing up hunting was with the gang hunting. I mean, we had a blast, but I guess your interests just changed. I just enjoy bow hunting so much more now.
So I think, for some of our new listeners and stuff, we call that driving, putting on a drive.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really, really interesting. I don't know how often it gets thrown out there. They definitely don't cover it a lot on TV. Every once in a while you'll see an episode or two, but it's, there's a couple guys that are posted up and a handful of guys will push towards those guys and you'll try and drive the deer towards them.
Yep.
Push through the thickest, nastiest stuff.
I didn't really think about it till you said it, but that's true. I really don't ever see it mentioned on TV much at all.
No. It's hard. It's hard to capture. First of all, what I mean. It's hard to, to have.
That's true.
A couple crews of cameramen and this and that. I mean, you could probably cover the people sitting pretty easy if you're going to do it. But having a guy walking through the brush carrying a camera and a gun and it'd be madness.
You're gonna laugh. Here's a little pipe dream of mine. Because anytime I'm ever sitting in the stand, it's like, how much money would you pay to have a device that tells me where the closest 130-inch buck is?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd pay, but it would probably be a lot. But anyway, along the same lines, I thought, okay, so our one hunting property is 385 acres. I'm like, how many people would it take, hand to hand, to go around this property and just come into the center? Because I want to know exactly what's in here.
That's wonderful.
Maybe you don't. Man,
probably without guns.
Yeah.
No, but that's actually a decent parcel for Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? That's a decent plot.
Yeah.
It is.
A lot of guys hunt. Are lucky they have 5-10 acres, or maybe they have 35 yards in their backyard. But it's a lot of people. That's a decent size.
Is it wooded?
Yeah.
Farmland, woods, or combination, Chris?
It's pretty much all woods. We have some some small fields that I think they farmed probably back in the Depression era, when there was a couple houses on the property. But my goodness, I don't know how people go afford and do that now. I was kind of lucky because my dad and his 3 brothers and then 4 other their friends, they may as well all been brothers. They were that close. But they bought this property back in 1965 for $8,000.
Wow.
$1,000 a piece.
That was a good investment.
Yeah, that was a good investment.
Oh yeah. So most of them have since handed it down, to each of their sons, and we're just as close as what those guys were originally. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And you've hunted on this property basically all your life, then?
Yeah, off and on. My wife lives on a farm here, so we have access to that too. And I just kind of chase around wherever we're getting, the best pictures.
Solid strategy there.
Yeah. Jared and Jordan's farm in Hollidaysburg, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember how big it is, but it's pretty big. I'm not so sure. It might be pushing 450, 500 acres, I think. And that's Jared's farm, and they farm the property there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of corn. There's standing corn. And
now, do any of you guys food plot at all around your properties?
I do, and I know. I think Jared did some triticale this past late summer. I love turnips. I'm a big turnip fan, just strictly because they can get a chance to grow, and the deer leave them alone until you get a frost, and then they turn over to get more of a sugary taste to them, and then they just tear into them.
It's kind of a later. It's their food later in the year too. They're going to be done hitting the alfalfa and some other the greens. They'll be able to hit that when, like you said, after the frost. So
now, and the deer will kick them radishes out of the ground too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Really? Even into January. Yep.
Oh, I like the picture you guys. I can't remember who it is, but one of you taking a bite out of it.
That would be me.
So they're that good, right?
I don't like them, but it seemed like a good photo opportunity.
Oh, man. It's like a softball. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, we found one over there the other day. That thing is almost as big as a cantaloupe. It's huge.
You should take that to the state fair.
Yeah. Well, the bad thing is, I told Tristan, I said, we got this great stand of turnips this year, and I told him, I guarantee you what's going to happen. We're not going to have a single shooter on that property over there, and that's exactly what happened. So
really?
I got this beautiful stand of turnips, and not really any decent bucks to hunt over them.
Well, maybe when things get kicking up here in a couple of weeks with the rifle season, you never know, one might end up scurrying on over there for you.
Yeah, we always say no bets. All bets are off.
Yeah.
You're right there. This time of year, they travel a long ways, that's for sure.
And it sounds like you got a nice little home ready to go for a nice big buck.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, Chris, on your Instagram page, there's a lot of pictures, of nice deer. Is that all? Are they all from your properties, or you guys travel a lot? Where do they come from?
There's a mixture. I think I probably do the most traveling. I leave Sunday for Ohio, going out there for bow season for a week. Then I'm back for a week, and then this is the first time this year I'm going to Kansas for rifle. So this is the first year I've ever missed Pennsylvania rifle, but I'm willing to do it to go to Kansas. So there's quite a mixture on there. I'd say most of my nicer ones are from Ohio, just because that place is unreal. I wish I lived out there, but yeah, there's some in there that I've got that's pretty decent from PA. I think Jared and Jordan's, most of theirs are from PA, but they do hunt Ohio a little bit. And Tristan's, I think, are all from Pennsylvania.
So what is it about Ohio that makes that draws you there?
just the big deer. And it's hard to describe. Where we go is only 4.5 hours away, and it's just unbelievable the difference in the age of the deer. And I can't place my finger on it other than it just doesn't seem like there's quite as many people that hunt there as we have here, and just so many more of their deer get the age. In fact, my buddy out there, I hunt with him. He's an outfitter, Tommy Combs from Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio. I've been hunting with him for, I guess this will be the 10th year, but he's become a good friend more so than just an outfitter. You know what I mean?
That's cool how that happens.
It is, and he's a great guy. But he sent me a picture. He's got a buck out there that this year is 9.5 years old.
Wow.
And he's had pics of it every year, and he's actually had a couple people pass it because it's about 135, so it's not big for out there, but the deer's so big that I guess it throws people off that they don't realize, it's a 135-inch deer. But 9.5 years old, I'm like, I can't even imagine that here. It's hard for me to find 3.5s to hunt,
Right. Sorry, is there any antler restrictions in Ohio? I'm not that familiar with regulations for Ohio.
No, actually, it's what our regulations used to be, which is 3 inches or longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're so right about being less hunters out there. I lived in Cleveland for a while, or right outside of Cleveland for a while, and you tell people where you're from, where Pennsylvania is. You're a Yinzer that has the Monday after Thanksgiving off for deer season. As everybody, that's what they think of us.
Moving into Pennsylvania from the Midwest, I couldn't believe that basically the Monday after Thanksgiving is a state holiday, unofficial.
Yes.
No school.
Right.
No school.
Yeah.
It's so everybody can go hunting.
Right.
And that's impressive in and of itself, but it's also the boondoggle of it all is the small deer, the pressure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when we
It's
didn't
tough.
have that time off and everybody just missed school.
Yeah, we just missed school when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
You
just
forced
didn't go.
Yeah.
socially forced upon them.
Yeah.
Almost like a religious holiday for some folks out there,
Oh,
It was always an
it is the high
educational
holiday.
trip. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
You're going to deer camp. That was an educational trip for a young man.
The world is a classroom. That's for sure.
That's right.
But and then in translation is just so many hunters then out there compared to in Illinois.
Right.
Even when you get down to the more rural areas, southern parts of Illinois or over towards the west, but dang, the Chicago area, not many people, and there's more. It's just more pressure, guys.
Yeah. Yep.
So do you get to hunt with the guys a lot? Do you four hunt together?
Well, it's off and on. This has been our first hunting season together, so already, like, Tristan and Jordan are actually roommates. They're in their last year at Penn State, so they've got a chance to kind of video. I think Tristan's done some video of him, and Jordan was actually just here yesterday. He came down the night before to come down and video me because he's killed a buck and Tristan's killed a buck. Jared and I's the only ones that are still looking here in PA. So, yeah, we definitely are, and I can see that that's going to increase in the future for sure, which is good.
So how do you decide who gets to shoot?
Well,
it's a film.
What I told really the main format has kind of been Jordan and Jared have been hunting together normally. Like tomorrow, I know that they're going, and Tristan's actually on his way here tonight. We're going to hunt together in the morning. So that's been the normal pair. And what I told Tristan, I said, I guess you should get weekends since you're in school all week, and I'll try to self film. But I actually kind of backed off the self film because after we filmed Tristan's buck, and after seeing everything that we really need to do after the shot, you just really can't do it justice if you're carrying the camera yourself. I mean, it's okay, but it just doesn't it doesn't give the people that are going to be watching the videos really the full effect and taste of what you're doing.
I know what you mean, because I was helping my dad trail a blood trail this week, and I thought I had the GoPro on, and turned out look at the SD card later, and I didn't have half of what I thought I shot, just because and that's it's just emotion there. So like if you're not a dedicated videographer for that hunt, I can definitely see how hard it is.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny story, because this has been newer to Tristan and I with the filming, and I guess I'll use that as an excuse for my screw up. But he was ready to shoot a doe. So we were sitting in a stand the one evening. Nice big fat doe comes in. He finally gets a shot. He's like, "Are you?" Whispering, "Are you on it?" I'm like, "Yep." So he shoots. It was Friday the 13th. Let me throw that in. So that kind of tells you what happened. So he shoots, and I heard like this cracking noise, and I didn't think much about it, but I thought, well, I think he still made it. Looked like he made a good shot. And he looks back, and he's like, "You get it?" I looked down, and the red light wasn't on, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah, I felt like an inch tall. So we sit there for probably 20 minutes. I feel like crap. We get down out of the tree. Nothing on the arrow. Long story short, we happened to look up, and he had hit this little twig. It must have been, this thing was like pencil lead. But he had knocked this twig off enough to, mess the arrow up. So I didn't feel so bad then.
Then he felt that tall.
Yeah, he lucked out.
Yeah. So I guess we at least, my mess up was well timed, since it was with his too.
Oh yeah.
Penalties offset.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Friday the 13th just kind of got worse, because we were driving out, and it's just above his dad's property, and we pulled out on the road, went to pull in his house, and we could see somebody up on the roof of the house.
It wasn't a gal crab walking, was it?
Hey, I listened to that. I listened to that episode. Yeah. Because
you think about that every time you're in a tree now, don't you?
I thought about it last night.
I tell you, you reminded me of a time I went into the tree stand, and it was like a new moon, so it was like pitch black. And I'm sitting there in the stand, and I remember hearing like a bird or something like pretty close to me. I didn't think much of it, like it flew in and landed. And it was only about 10 seconds, and this screech owl cuts out into, what they sound like. It couldn't have been 4 or 5 feet from me.
Oh man!
Oh my!
I about came out of that stand.
That bird would have been enough to knock me out.
Yeah. And what's ironic is those things are only, what are they, like 6 inches tall or something?
Yeah.
So.
So
there's gals up on the roof. I still want to know
walk
about
on
this
the roof.
gal. Yeah.
Yeah. No crab walking.
No crab walking. Not clown face.
No. So that long story short is just they got locked out of the house, and her boyfriend had pushed her up on the roof to try to get into one of the windows. But I thought, okay, this Friday the 13th just keeps getting weirder. I just want to get home and forget about this hunt and go to bed.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes a good sleep helps recover off of anything.
Yep, for sure. Well,
it's one of those things, like if you're gonna do it, that's something's bound to happen, and But that was cool. Like normally, one guy goes home feeling like a heel. At least you both got to share.
Yeah, it was bad for 20 minutes though, until I realized he messed up too, and then I could laugh about it. He had to go through his period of mourning then too.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, do you guys film every time you go out?
We do. Yeah. Yep. In fact, Jordan actually has. It's really neat, and he shouldn't have showed me because now I'm going to want to buy one.
Don't you hate that?
Really nice drone. I think it was like $1,500. I think it's crazy. This thing has like sensors on it that it'll tell you if you're getting too close to branches and won't run into the branches.
Oh, wow.
And you push I guess he has like his cell phone coupled to it, and like you can hit a home button and it comes right back to you from, I think he can go up to 2 miles away with it.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's done some really neat stuff with, like flying over you while you're, walking into a stand and all those kind of things. So
Now, do those make a lot of noise, Chris?
They do. It sounds like a swarm of bees.
And
yeah,
do you guys worry about that, like
that would scare me,
hurting your hunt or anything like that?
You can't hunt with them.
Well, I'm gonna tell myself. I'm gonna tell myself a little bit.
It's
a lot of times you get that stuff later.
Yeah, be real. Okay.
Yeah,
B-roll.
exactly.
B-roll, sorry. Yeah.
Be real with your B-roll.
Yeah, B-roll.
Be real with the B-roll.
I'm
that's Sunday afternoon when you went back out to catch some more footage, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
How would you hunt with a drone?
So, no, you
Put a
can't
gun on it.
locate.
There's guys that have done that.
No. You can't
move-
locate an animal.
Or move game with it,
Yeah.
Oh, I got
It
you.
might be slightly illegal.
Yeah. No, it is. It definitely is.
But you can drive them.
You can physically
Yeah.
What?
You can physically push,
But people
yeah.
can drive. See, that's where I.
But there's no motorized mechanism involved.
Right, but you can't use a dog though either, technically, to drive deer.
Not in PA, but you can in Virginia.
Not in PA, but people
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
There's too many people to just. It's a big state
I know.
full of hunters. You gotta
Yeah.
censor it a little bit.
So you can't shoot.
But even
a
out
deer
west,
with a
they're
drone.
big on the regulations for drones because if guys spotting elk on the next ridge line and then or figuring out that has this big 6x6 on that ravine, that's
Right.
kinda like they've outlawed drones for
For
use
even
of
scouting.
for
Yeah.
use of hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
want it
not
to be
using it as a use of
fair
hunting.
chase as possible. It's
Yeah.
just
I don't see any
Right.
problem with it, personally.
what drones?
Yeah.
Hunting with drones.
Yeah.
'cause you-
Using them for scouting.
Because you don't really hunt.
Well, then don't use binoculars.
Can you-
Don't use.
Are you gonna use?
Yeah.
Are you gonna fish with
Yeah.
the drone, bud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see that one they did with the tuna?
That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Epic.
That's like those cameras, those underwater cameras, man. You just sink them and see what's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need
Hey, I know one thing.
trail
If-
cameras
if,
for bass.
If drones were around when the Indians were, they would have used them.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, they would.
So that's got to, if you're filming every time you're going out, that's got to make it like 3 or 4 times harder, to harvest an animal.
It can. The biggest thing, you really got to watch your movement, of course, and then you got twice as much scent in the woods for sure. We really watch ourselves with scent, and we've had really good luck. But the biggest thing is probably the movement, because a lot of times I'll try to sit a stand so that I'm inside the shape of the tree from where I expect them to come. That doesn't always work that way. But with the camera, you kind of got one to stand a little bit higher and around, probably, I don't know, not the whole way around the tree, but off to the side. So it definitely creates more opportunity to get busted for sure.
On the scent issue, Chris, I have a personal question. Again, I'm a learning archery hunter in this state, and I have a question. When I'm going into my tree stand, and I know my tree stand is setting on a good game trail, how's the best way to approach that stand when I'm going in? It's obviously not to cut down that game trail. Do I come up and from behind my do I go up mountain or down the trail and then circle back into my stand instead of cutting over to it? How do I
tell you, I don't worry about it much anymore, but it's because of other things we do, which is, for me, rubber boots are mandatory. Other kind of boots, are just too much scent comes out of them, especially when you're walking. But normally if I have a trail like that that's pretty heavy, I don't try to walk down it, but at least walk beside it, or, don't stomp in the same tracks that they do the whole way.
Okay.
But we were talking about this a little bit the other night. The biggest thing I do with scent control, and I know Tristan's the same way. Jordan and Jared are, I think, been very interested in what I've been doing it for probably, well, since I met Ty. I have to give credit. Ty McCombs from Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio. I didn't know. I mean, we did a little bit of scent control, but when I met him, chasing those big deer out there, and learned that your skin is really the biggest culprit. You know, there's so much stuff out there, and we could probably talk for an hour on just scent control. But we use a product, and I'm not sponsored by them, so it should have a ring of truth to it. Vanishing Hunter. It's one of the few products you can spray directly on your skin. So I shower down in the morning before I go with like any hunter soap, whatever, towel dry, and then I spray head to toe with Vanishing Hunter, and you rub it in just, you know, everywhere, every square inch. And what it does is it keeps what a deer smells is the bacteria that are eating your skin cells. I know that sounds really gross, but that's what it is, and it creates a gas. And the Vanishing Hunter, and there's other ones out there, but it kills all that bacteria and keeps that gas from being formed off your skin.
So this is like body odor, you're saying, is the biggest.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm sure you'll get a 1,000 different opinions on that for sure. But I know what I learned out there and what I do since then with that product. I haven't had a deer blow on me in probably 9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like it'll take care of the dudes out there that smell like Italian hoagie and
like fresh onions.
Fresh onions.
Phil,
man must.
What was
Man must.
Chris, we have a friend of ours has a special scent control concoction. I can't remember what it was. Phil, do you remember what it is?
Sammy swears to Axe body soap and Axe
Zest soap and Axe body spray.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He swears by it.
I kill deer every year. Use Zest.
Yeah, my uncle gives me a hard time. He's like, you don't need any of that. I've killed deer for 50 years, you know.
There's definitely something to it, you know. But a bunch of those guys are rifle hunters too, so not exactly, you know.
Not
big archers.
Yeah, not the same. And we definitely don't have as many 4 and 5 year old deer running around here.
Well, my thought on scent is that, you know.
What's your thought on scent?
Well, thanks,
Yeah,
Dave. I'll let you know.
Tell us all about that.
So, with.
I'm queuing you up, bud.
I love it. Great. You have enough things
David
going
Kyle?
against you in archery season. You have your distance. I mean, you have, that it can be warm out, so you're going to sweat. I mean, why not do the little things to take care of your personal scent before you head in the woods? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I like to knock out my bacterias.
Yep.
that takes care of your scent, bud.
Yeah, it's hard to reduce the midichlorians, though.
It's impossible. I've always said that.
Well, you just want to reduce the variabilities, and I think that's the biggest thing.
And it doesn't, I mean, what we do doesn't, you're not 100% invisible to a deer, but what I've noticed, especially in Ohio where you have, more mature deer, and especially those nanny does out there are just horrible. If you can beat their nose, you're good to go. But what I'll notice is like 60, 70 yards away, they can smell you and they're lifting their nose, licking their nose, trying to figure out where and what you are. It's like they know you're there, but it's like it cuts it down enough that they think you're 500 yards away instead of 50.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
That makes sense.
I don't know that I've ever seen Vanishing Hunter. Is it around?
I've never heard of it.
It's Buck Fever Synthetics makes it, but I don't know. They have a great product. I'm surprised they don't market it harder. And you're not going to find it in Cabela's or Gander Mountain. I mean, I can still use scent killer for like my clothes and stuff, but for directly on my skin, that product's even, it's actually approved for direct skin contact. I'm not sure if like Scent Killer and those are or not.
Yeah. Do you get it online, or do you get it when you're out in Ohio? Or?
No, I get it online. Yep.
Gotcha.
Chris, what do you think of the what's those ozone machines called? The osmotics? Am I saying that correctly?
Ozonics.
Ozonics.
Yeah.
I like osmotics better, but we'll go with ozonics.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
You engineers
I'm going to start my own line of ozone. The ozonics machines.
Kills the bacteria in the air.
That might have been the Chinese knockoff.
Osmotic.
I don't know. I really can't say about, because it's all on ozone basis. I did have a car one time. We bought it, and like after a couple months, you could tell it had been a smoker's car, but it didn't smell like that when we got it. And a local mechanic has basically the same thing. It's like an ozone generator.
Yeah.
And they put it in your car like for 24 hours, and it did seem to help. So I think there's something to it. I'm just wondering if maybe it would be better off, like if you had it in a tote with your clothes, that type of thing. I'm not sure. I just don't know how effective it would be, like in an open space.
Yeah, don't a lot of guys like carry their gear in a box with one of those?
They're starting to now.
Yeah.
There's a couple companies that are doing that.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I know one thing. It seemed Scent Blocker, Scent Lock were both like really hot there, for a lot of years. And I know it still has a following. But I know when you fart in one and it makes it to your nose at the speed of light, then how much is
or that creeping death. It takes forever for it to get there, but it stays longer.
And just permeates the blind.
I'm like, if it can't knock that down at all, how's it going to get rid of my...
Exactly.
It's a lot of work for those little silver ions to...
It's saturated them.
Yeah, you stress them out.
The Miser osmotic machine could.
Yeah,
that would take care of it.
It would knock it right down.
Probably passed gas one time and the suit's ruined. It's just throw it out. It's saturated.
You blew it. You blew it. Just to pivot a little bit off of the scent eliminating and the scent reducing.
Scent creation.
Let's talk about scent creation. What are your thoughts on deer, doe urine, doe and estrus? When do I use that? When do I pull these little tricks out of my hunting bag of tricks?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably going to disappoint you. I don't use any.
Okay, for new guy, why? When everybody else seems to, or drag something, or.
Well, and I guess people's results are going to vary. But I can tell you a story in Ohio, and this, again, Ty, my friend in Ohio, the guy just amazes me with his knowledge, and I think it's just the deer structure out there. But I listened to what he said when I first started hunting with him. I listened to what he said, and I had success. And I think it was like the fourth year I was hunting with him. We were hunting a buck called Kickstand. He had a big horn, extra point coming right out of the base of his head. It was probably 7 or 8 inches long.
Whoa!
And he set me in this spot. He was probably like a 145-inch deer, and he knows his deer so well. He sent me in this spot. He said, I know that this deer is with a doe. He said, I just saw her last night. They're staying in this cornfield. He said, sometime today she's going to take him out of there and go up to the bedding. Sure enough, it was like 10 o'clock. Here comes this doe with Kickstand following behind her. And you could see the trail that they had been using was like 15 yards in front of the stand. Well, back up the first thing in the morning. I got in the stand, and as the sun was coming up, I could smell this. I've smelled this smell before, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And as it kept getting warmer, it kept getting stronger. And I saw this little rope hanging off a tree. It was like a double tree. And I thought, well, I thought that was a bow rope, but that seems like that's where the smell's coming from. So I pull this thing up. It's a drag line. And then I realized it was Trails End. I think Trails End 307. I think it kind of smells like licorice. You guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Now, fast forward to this doe bringing this buck through. She comes through, veers off of the trail, goes back behind me, and she's sneaking downwind of me. You can see her nose is up the whole time. She hits that scent. I couldn't get rid of it. It's laying on the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And she hits that and just kind of slowly turns around, walks over to the buck, goes up the bank the other way. Almost like she had already smelled it and walked over and said, yeah, it's still there. Huh. It cost me a chance at a 145-inch deer. So it just seems like, I've read different numbers where they say a deer's nose is 2,000 times, more receptive than ours. And I think Ty said it best one time, which is if you go into a bathroom, take a good healthy one, and then spray flower spray, you don't just smell flower spray, you smell poop
lots of other
and
things.
Flower spray. And a deer's the same way. You may try, if you use something different, they know that it's not. I know they make some fresh urine, I think, which would probably be your best option. But I haven't gambled with it because I know a lot of the stuff that you can go to a box store or wherever and buy. I just can't imagine a deer is, especially a mature one, is going to be fooled. I just haven't been willing to take that risk.
So they're going to smell the product plus all the other different, you and your drag
exactly.
rope and all that. Those different.
Yep. Now, I remember years ago, I did use like Tink 69, the old standby.
Yeah.
And I do remember bringing bucks in, but we're talking about 1.5 and 2.5-year-old deer.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, they're just kind of like, they're actually probably more curious.
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
So I think a lot of people have success with it, but I learned when I went out Midwest and you're talking about 4 and 5-year-old deer, I think the results kind of change.
Yeah, they've been around the block. They know what's up. They've smelled enough real urine.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Or fresh, and they know, that's
still steaming.
Steaming.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm not much of a spokesperson for all the scent people out there, but
noted. Noted. Thanks for all your help.
And then I guess one more question along the way: how about calling? Do you
I love calling.
Grunting or rattling?
Well, I kind of have it in an order. I normally don't really call until probably the last week October because I just don't seem to have much effect with it before then. But I always start out with a bleat is my first thing I do, and I've never spooked a deer with that. Then a grunt, and then the very last thing I'll do is rattling, especially in PA because I've run a lot of bucks off with rattling before.
Do you use the cam bleat?
Well, I do, but the grunt call I have now, it's one of those extinguishers. Have you seen those? That has a little slide on it.
Yep.
You can bleat really well with those. So I used to love my can call, but I found that I can do it just as well with that extinguisher.
You don't have that next to you, do you?
I don't. No.
Good. Yeah, he does that to everybody.
Yeah.
The real nice thing about the can call is you can be not a lot of motion with it. You can pull it out of your six pocket, on the side of your leg, turn it over, do the call, slip it back in. You're not a full motion of your arms up to your face to use that call. That's one thing I like about it.
Yep, for sure. Now, my problem is always, like we're going out next week, I always worry about calling, just blind calling, because if you get a buck locked down with the doe, I've never had a doe really come into that kind of calling. So sometimes those big bucks, if they're locked down with the doe, the only way you're going to get them in range is if she drags him past you. And I always worry about doing blind calling that, maybe I'm going to steer her off, 60 yards and never get them in because I was calling. So I'm always second guessing myself whether to blind call or not. But if I have a buck 100 yards away and I can see him, yeah, the calls are my friend.
Okay.
I've had a lot of success from that.
Duly noted. We're time's starting to slip on us here, Chris, and I have to ask this question for another one of our hosts. Uncle Catfish always likes to throw this question out at our guests. What would be your bucket list hunt? We've talked a lot about whitetail hunting.
He always asks Strombolis or calzones.
Yeah,
that too. But he also likes
or corn dogs.
Yeah, or the corn dog question.
That'll be That'll be the follow-up question.
Now you got me scared. Corn dog question. My bucket list hunt. Well, I probably have two, but the one I don't think I'll ever do. So I'll start with that one.
Okay.
And that's probably a leopard.
Oh man,
that's a first for us here.
Like
I think it was Pat Leffenline from the bow site. I think he went for one with the bow, and it was really cool. But I don't know if I don't have the balls to do that.
Yeah, especially with a bow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's just madness too. Like you're putting at least what I've seen like on TV and stuff. You're just putting a big chunk of meat in a tree,
really close to you,
in Africa.
Yes.
Good luck. With all that.
It sounds exciting, but I think if I was there, I'd probably crap my pants.
And
amen.
Talk about scent control.
Yeah. That's out the window.
I do not want to smell like raw meat.
No.
I think I'd rather. I don't know. Raw meat.
I don't want to smell like half a gazelle in that setting.
Right.
So what's your realistic bucket list? Where do you think you're going to close the deal? Elk.
Yeah, I can't believe I haven't. I have gone before, but not during their rut. Which I love spring gobbler hunting, just because of the feedback and they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't imagine that. That would be awesome to have that kind of feedback and know that the animal is there, and yet you're chasing one of the most majestic animals in the U.S. I mean,
Well, being a Pennsylvania guy, do you put in for the elk drawing in Pennsylvania?
I don't, because I want the West, the Western, that whole experience.
Completely understand.
Horses and,
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Probably at some altitude that I won't be able to breathe, and they'll have to cart me out.
Get you an oxygen tank.
You could pack some red blood cells.
Get me back down to 2,500.
Exactly. But that one I could see myself doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what's next to close it all out here? What's next for J&J Outdoors?
Well, I think the big thing we're trying to do, we've really been changing, our approach. I think trying to find out exactly what people are looking for, what they want to see in a video, and we're going to have a lot of great hunts to have shows here this year. So those will probably be coming out like late summer, early fall next year. And I think once they get that going, and a lot of these guys are getting out of school, and they're going to be devoting a good bit more time to it. So they're looking to grow the company pretty quickly, I think, here in the next 2 years or so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
These guys are go-getters. It's like I said, I'm the token old guy of the group, but these guys have really impressed me with, just their stamina and their desire to be the best at something.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you guys got a good start, and like I said, you're doing some things right. I mean, you caught our attention. Not that is a big deal, but
But
yeah,
Chris, our unofficial motto at Rutten River Pursuits is making Pennsylvania sexy again, as far as the hunting industry goes, and you guys are definitely living up to that.
Absolutely.
And getting that out there. And like
right.
we discussed during the show, it's such a hard state to look good doing it in. It's
Yeah.
hard, and if you can get it done here, you guys could go to most places and look like superstars.
Yeah, and we talked about that. It's not about having to travel because we have to have a 160-inch deer on camera. In PA, we kind of make it our goal. Let's hunt an animal in the top 10%. Of what's here, and that's how we get our challenge.
Yeah,
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, yeah, a lot of the shows really, it overdoes the whole trophy thing. I mean, I still love. I'm chasing big deer for sure, but when you have people passing 160-inch deer on TV, it just doesn't ring true with a lot of hunters.
No, it almost, I don't know, kind of hurts the industry as far as I'm concerned. There's so much more to it, and what we love and what kind of gets us rolling is just, more of the camaraderie and the friendships and those moments that we chase are so few and far between. I mean, success rates are I don't know, maybe you get 1 or 2 deer a year if you're one of the lucky ones, you know what I mean?
Right.
Of any size. And so to have that those super high lofty goals and I mean, God bless you. Like I said, if you can put in the time to do that, that's
great.
Good on you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not realistic for the 98th percentile.
Well, that's J&J's motto: is you get out what you put in. So we definitely and we enjoy that part of it. We were talking about that probably a month ago. So the whole putting up tree stands, checking cameras, doing food plots. It's not just work to get the end result. It's part of the whole experience. We love doing all of that.
Well,
It's
you
all
guys
enjoyable.
live deer season all year round, and that's what you have to do to be successful year in and year out.
Yeah.
Especially with the caliber you guys are harvesting. So.
Right. Lots of work and lots of fun.
So listeners can check you out at J&J_outdoors on Instagram, or jnjoutdoors.org is your website. And you're on Facebook as well, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, Chris, we appreciate you taking some time with us tonight. I really, I'm not a hunter, but man, I'll tell you, I really enjoy these episodes where the guests share some of their what's worked best for them. We're talking about scent control and calling and all that. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. So we appreciate you talking about. About that and about your organization. So
you're
good
welcome.
luck.
It's awesome. It's awesome sharing everybody's passions and hearing what people enjoy doing and how they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's what the Sonic Campfire is all about.
Yeah,
heard that.
Well, I appreciate you having us. It's awesome. We'll have to do it again.
You got it.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Bud.
Yeah. So good luck in Ohio next week.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah, let us know how you do.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
So, guys, that was really great to talk to some other local guys, some guys from Central Pennsylvania, getting it done, having fun in the outdoors.
And making Pennsylvania sexy again.
They are.
DK.
So it was great to talk to J&J Outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
Chris is a sweetheart.
Yeah, great guy.
I gleaned a few pointers from him tonight about scent control, how to get into my stand, food plotting a little bit. And
turnips.
Yeah.
Big turnips.
Just a good all-around whitetail show. And more, and even to cherry on top, it's South Central Pennsylvania whitetail show.
That's what he said.
Phil, do you have anything going on this week in the whitetail woods?
DK, I've been out in the woods a lot here. I've been trying to put a deer on the ground. I'm one of the last ones of us hasn't put something in the freezer yet this fall. I'm driven. I've tried to make a little bit more time getting into work early, leaving work earlier so I can get an evening sit in.
Nice. You have been putting your time in
during the week.
Did I see something this week on Instagram that you were in a tree again?
Yeah, for the second time, I got up into a tree.
Nice.
Much more comfortable this time.
What was different about it?
No bears?
No bears, number one.
Yeah.
No. What was different about
Potentially.
Sorry. Yeah. Do want to ruin
He's not going to give it away up front here.
What helped was it was a tree stand that it was a single. Not that had anything, but I think it made me feel a little bit more compact.
Yeah.
And to add to that, the tree stand was placed on a tree, but there was another tree right to my right hand side coming up. So I was a little bit
nestled.
I was nestled.
It's like
exactly.
the Thunder Buddy for a tree stand.
I was in a nest. Exactly.
The Buckman.
And I felt
The Buckman Buddy tree stand.
I felt very comfortable, very secure, and to the point where I was standing up. And I don't. If you remember the last time, I wouldn't even stand up in that bigger tree stand. And this one, I felt comfortable standing up in. And then I had another first.
Like calling. Like you started to call for the first
Oh, that was bad. You know,
What do you mean?
What happened? You're too hard on yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, when you call and then your buddy that's, little bit of ways asks, was that just you? And you say, no, why? Because I'm not going to say yeah.
I heard, okay, so I wasn't that far away from Phil. I wasn't close, but I wasn't that far away. And I heard this.
Go ahead.
What did it sound like?
Tell him what you said it sounded like.
To me, it sounded like a deer carrying a couch up 3 flights of stairs.
And that's exactly why I'm going to listen to Chris and not call unless I see one. I'm not going to scare him away anymore. And I'm just like, oh my god.
But we got to go on YouTube after that and kind of pick up.
I learned.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was a
don't
learning
be so hard on yourself. You're
You only learn by trying.
yeah,
so-
exactly.
So and that's not.
But it didn't hurt you.
No, it didn't. Either did. You know what else didn't hurt me, guys?
What's that?
The dude that walked into my
into my set.
Really?
So that's like, every day for Kyle. Because he's out more.
Well, yeah, he's like, he's
But
in the
not-
woods next to the Walmart there in Chester County or something.
But not where we are.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time.
And I was totally, never happened to me before. And, and I'm like,
And you're on private land.
and I'm
So
on
that's-
private land
yeah.
that sits next to private land where this guy came from. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I at first it was after about 45 minutes to an hour that we got into the woods and I got quiet and ready to sit and I start hearing some noise and I got really positive, very positive, like, oh, this is deer.
It's a giant squirrel.
Yeah.
Or a giant squirrel. No, it was a normal sized male human being. and I kind of quickly thought, what is the best way?
Did he wind you?
No, not at all. He had no clue where I was. And I said, well, in my head, what's the best way to let this guy know, but not just holler out? And so I just gave him a quick little
Cat call.
That was pretty good.
and
wasn't
his
a cat call.
And his head snapped up in my direction. And as he was snapping up in my direction, he sunk himself back into a tree.
You don't see me. You don't see me. You don't see me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't see me. And
Buckaroo.
I just kind of sat back to see if he was going to be able to spot me.
Yeah.
I didn't catch him spotting me until I was digging my phone, and somewhere in the process of me digging my phone out and calling Will, saying, what should I do about this? And about the same time, when I'm getting on with Will, the guy spots me, and I finally just point at him and point from where he came. And I think, obviously he got it because
Which finger did you use?
I used my index.
Oh, okay.
The pointer.
Not the
You didn't tell
magic.
him he's number one.
And he turned around and walked off. So and I can't blame him because this property, in this stranger's defense, this property has not been hunted like we've been hunting this year.
Yep.
And he probably maybe have gotten away with it the past few years, and now he can't. Well, I'm not going to be a jerk about it the first time around, and I should back this up and say that we did find a blind in a remote location away from where our tree stands and blinds.
So that may be
is.
where he was heading.
And I think that's where he was headed. and I think he's gotten the hint now, and hopefully he stays away. And it might explain some things, from earlier in the season why we saw deer and then we went for a period where we didn't in there.
Well, this week I found I checked my trail cam, and there was a person on the trail cam. I asked the landowner. They don't know who it is. I asked the neighboring landowner, hey, do you know who this person is? Nobody knows who it is. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So
now I know how to call. I'm looking forward to the weekend. But I'm definitely not going to use that call now after listening to Chris a little bit, and unless I see something, we're in sight. So
very cool, man. And like, I think the big thing was you don't have to be successful to start to understand why we hunt and why we do this thing.
And why?
I mean, you had a deer come in, not in archery range, but it snuck on through, and that's just as exciting. Trying to figure out if it's coming towards you, or if it's not, or if it's going to win you.
And I even grunted at her, and she stopped.
Nice.
So
you don't have that grunt call sitting near you, do you?
No, I don't.
We should have brought it down. Fortunately, I don't.
But so I learned a lot. I mean, a lot of firsts, and being a 46-year-old young man, I think the good Lord's blessing me with a lot of experience crammed into one little season. I mean, I may not have a deer yet, but I feel like I've had seasons worth of knowledge given to me for having just gotten out there, like we've been saying, like our motto this fall. I got out there.
Yeah.
We're blessed with this property, and I can't thank our good buddy Colin. I can't thank him enough. Like I said, I've had more stand time than I've ever had, in the archery season, and this has been the most deer time I've had in a long, long time.
And for me, I couldn't have. I mean, it's over the mountain for me. I mean, come on. I'm blessed just for having that.
David, Kyle, what's new with you?
Well, we had an exciting week. Dad got a buck on Monday.
He did, didn't he?
He did. So, we weren't really seeing too much sign on the property we're allowed to hunt. That Saturday, or the Saturday before, the neighboring landowner texted me, hey, I've been seeing a decent-sized buck run around. It's not a huge one, but it's a sizable mass there. And so Dad and I were out Monday. I'm in a different set compared to him, but I'm looking over some fields, and he's in a thicket about 400 yards away, and I can see like the field beside him, and all I saw was a big rear end of a deer just duck right into the thicket by him.
Is this deer heading towards Dad?
Heading right towards him.
Okay,
gotcha. Like where it went in the woods was probably 40 yards away from the stand.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes later, I hear the crack of his crossbow go off. Bam, about a minute later, got the phone call. Hey, I just shot a buck. I'm like, was it a big one? He's like, yeah, it was real nice. Like, where'd you shoot it? Oh, I shot it. It was a good shot. So, backing up, like that was one of my biggest goals of the season, was get Dad on a deer. He hasn't shot a deer for a few years. It's
ever since you shot one out from under him.
Well, I didn't shoot one out from under him. The next year, I was going to shoot. I was going to be of legal age. He shot one that year before I could start hunting again.
Gotcha.
Well, that's not the story we've been telling.
Sorry.
We've been telling a whole different story.
Yeah.
About that.
So
you were like, tough luck, Dad.
But no, like he's definitely been putting me first in hunting situations. over the years, and I hunt a lot more than him. He works shift work, so him getting out in the woods is kind of tough.
So you're like, now I know what it's like to be a dad.
But no,
Dad.
I picked out where his tree stand should go and helped him, and we talked about it. So we're really happy about him getting one. He made a great shot on it. I went over and we started trailing blood, and bam, we found it. Had a great heart shot. It was the perfect 3 blades through the heart. So it was a great evening. Glad I could enjoy that with Dad.
Did you play Bon Jovi?
Oh no, I should have.
To you blame.
So that's what's going on.
I saw pictures of that deer
right.
with your
Yeah.
dad, right?
Yeah.
That was on Instagram.
That was on Instagram.
R2 David Kyle
Yeah, I think it was on the R2
and
page
R2
too.
Pursuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So you're going to take Phil out now?
sure.
Oh, that'd be great, man.
Well, next week, I'm excited for next week in Maryland because, Pennsylvania will be shut down. I still got 2 more weeks of archery in Maryland. So,
Cool.
so that'll be fun.
When does shotgun season come in there?
The Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is the Saturday before our rifle season comes in.
Gotcha.
Which I'll be happy to participate in that too. So
Stevie, have you been up to anything?
Yes, but it hasn't been outdoor related.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been listening to a lot of old podcasts. When I say old, I mean like last year's season
Of
one.
ours.
Yeah, of season 1 of us. And
Podcast from the 1950s.
between they were black and white podcasts, which before color. Yeah, I totally lost.
everybody had a cigar inside their mouth.
So, Stevie, you've been listening to a lot of podcasts?
Yeah. Thanks, bud.
No, leave all that in. No edits.
It's been. We've had a lot of fun over the last year. So I've been trying to repost those and to get, because not, I don't know, people, maybe they're reluctant to go back deep into our catalog, but man, we've had a lot of fun, talked to a lot of really interesting people, and we've laughed uncontrollably for a year. So
Or you have.
I have, yeah.
I found it's fun to listen back and and then you notice what has slowly changed as far as format and just
Maturity.
general sound and questions.
Intro song.
Yeah.
How and just
So
what's your favorite color to what's on your bucket list to hunt?
Yeah, little taglines.
What motivates you to get up in the morning and do this every day? Or
I would encourage anybody that listens, to these later ones, go back, listen to the original, listen to season 1 that we're calling it, and just have fun and laugh.
Oh, I do. I laugh at him, especially when you call out the.
I never call anyone out.
Oh, you called some funny parts out that's really helped turn my day around.
Yeah.
Sitting at work.
The other thing is the fall trout stocking has started locally here. So I'm not hunting, so I'm going to be fishing.
Stalking.
I'm going to be stalking. Stalking. So get out there and
Just get outside.
get out and do something. You can hunt, you can fish. This is a good time of year.
Get out there. Amen.
Yeah. What about you, W?
Nothing.
Nothing
here.
All right.
Just kidding.
Thanks for listening.
No, I had a big Saturday. I did it first myself. It's silly.
Did you climb a tree stand?
I did it with a climber.
Ooh.
I hate those things.
Oh, I love a
And
climber.
it was a blind climb too. I mean, you've never been there before.
Yeah, it
was
was,
in the dark.
Blindfold yourself.
Why
You
would
might
you
as
do
well
that?
be. I mean,
That's me hunting in Maryland every time in the morning.
Really?
Go in, you scout an area first, but no, you don't pick that same tree you thought was great in the daylight a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
well, Will didn't even pick it.
Well,
Right?
I was told, where to go and roughly. I had an idea because of scouting, and my buddy calling, he kind of confirmed it for me. He's like, yeah, you should be up there. And so he kind of gave me a little bit of an idea with some tacks and stuff to kind of get into the area.
Did you have the cat eyes with the arrow pointed up on the tree?
I'm not going to tell you anything more about that, but yes.
I can't wait to hunt that area. Thanks, bud.
When you take me to Maryland, I'll show you.
Okay.
With my new shotgun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that being said, I did a morning climb in the climber, which I hate. I hate doing it the daytime. So doing it at night is terrible too. But again, every time I do it, I'm somewhat successful. It just seems like I can.
Successful.
Deer aren't looking for you there.
They're not following up that ladder and going, hey, I've been looking at that ladder for 2 weeks and now you're finally sitting in there.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. And then keep walking.
Yeah, they might not, they might see you, but they just don't know, so they're kind of, anyway, it's an interesting way of doing it. It's highly successful and a lot of people do it. I'm not one that does it frequently. And, because I'm like, I literally duct tape myself to the tree once I get set. Yeah.
I feel safer in my climbing stand than I do on most of my lock-ons. Just because, I have the summit with the bar around me. And like Phil was saying, I'm in a cocoon. Okay. I have, it's tight around me. My lock-on stands, it's a little seat that's a 4-inch by 6-inch platform. And I'm standing on wire mesh.
I think I need to look at, maybe I'm not going to say the brand I have or whatever. I'm probably going to be looking for a different one.
Yeah, I thought you got rid of that one.
Nope, still got it. But I don't know that I'll love any of them. I mean, it's a rough go. So anyway, I got up in the tree and I actually, I got basically ducked by a 7-point and found a bunch of hair, and it was exciting and but just unsuccessful.
Yeah, it happens. It's amazing how they can that quick just duck an arrow.
Yeah, and he kind of picked me up. He came through a tree, or came past a tree.
Came through one, man. He's strong.
Yes, he came past a tree and just a hair faster than I thought he was. Mm-hmm. So I was getting set. I would grab my bow. I was,
yeah,
and then he come through and he just looked up and stood there for a little bit and tried to make sense of what he saw. Mm-hmm. And so he was a little bit on alert, but then put his head back down and turned and made a perfect little situation for me to pull the trigger and. It just didn't happen. So anyway, that was great. I got a new
toy
slug gun. Yeah. So
what'd you get?
I got the Savage 220.
So it's a 20 gauge bolt action slug gun.
Yeah.
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 They're real nice.
Super nice. I haven't shot it yet. I got everything's all ready to go. I got the scope set and bore sighted and everything's ready that way. I just need to go sight it in. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's a utility gun.
I personally do not have one, but I know other guys who do, and they really like it. So
yeah, that Aki trigger is pretty nice. I don't have a lot of Savage stuff, and but this is really. It's almost like if you're going to do it, I think that's where you start.
I like the 20 gauge slug. There's less recoil. I just think it shoots a little bit better. I
heard out to 200 yards on some of these.
Yeah, I mean,
really?
Yeah, it's not your grandpa's pumpkin ball slugs these days. I mean, slug technology has come a long way, and you can get those SSTs by Hornady. He seems like everybody's go-to brand, but you got to try everything out on a slug gun.
Don't they make those like an Abrams tank round now? Like what do they call them? Sabbats?
Like most of those slugs are a Sabbath round.
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
It's your. I don't.
Gary Zilka's into them, I think.
I don't want to speak too much to that. Like I don't know the true terms.
Yeah.
But you're.
You can fool us, but don't worry about it.
The concept is you're shooting a smaller bullet diameter than the actual barrel, and it would be essentially like
it breaks away.
It breaks away. So
it does.
So it almost looks like the wad for a shotgun is surrounding the actual bullet, and once it leaves the barrel, only the bullet's flying. So once you're out of the barrel, you have smaller diameter going through the air is the idea, which helps with your velocities and your accuracy.
If you watch a slow motion video of like a Abrams tank on the firing range, you'll see that same principle but writ large.
Interesting.
And it's pretty cool. It's like a needle basically going through the air, but that needle has so much kinetic energy upon impact. That's why it can penetrate tank armor.
I could ask 1,000 questions, but I'll refrain.
I'm sure your engineer mind is just freaking going nuts right now.
That's what this podcast is all about. Yeah.
But back to the 20 gauge slug, you'll love it. I heard I shoot a 500, a Mossberg 500 20 gauge.
Yeah.
For my Maryland deer firearm, so you'll like it.
I can't wait. And I got it because of my buddies Kyle, regular Kyle, tall Kyle,
total killer.
TK. He lives in special regulations, and there's some surrounding states and things like that also have the that season. So that why not?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I mean, I use my 20 gauge in Pennsylvania. Like the parks or most state parks, you are slug gun only. Like Cadora State Park, which I live close to, is slug gun only. So
really?
Yeah, we know all about that.
So if I want to kick around with some
Off
other
your
guys,
pontoon boat.
yeah, then I can use that firearm there. But like also like as a brush gun, it's
I'm going to take it out this year.
Under 100 yards, I really like mine.
Yeah.
Like if I'm have opportunity to shoot farther than 100 yards in firearm season, I take one of my center fire rifles. So
awesome. This has been really great, guys. I really appreciate this little conversation. We don't talk about whitetails a lot.
But surprisingly, we don't. Like the actual details.
I think the last time we really talked in detail was
last October,
right before rifle season last year, almost a year from now.
Yeah, we had
a year ago now.
We had our buddies from PA Rut Report. Yeah, they were on, and I think that's just a lot of podcasts do that. Not that we're trying to just avoid it, but we do so many other things, and we get around to deer when we can. It's been a heavy deer year for us, and not an easy season by any stretch. But
we're having fun with it.
We're having a great time.
Well, we've definitely done more about deer than we've talked about deer. That's for sure. Yeah, and that's a great thing, I think. I mean, we're walking the walk and more than we're talking the talk.
Preach it, brother.
Right now, so.
Which is terrible for a podcast.
But
yeah,
but it's hard to podcast when we're getting out there.
Look at me and follow what I'm doing.
Follow our Instagram.
I guess that's a good problem to have, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So, having said all that, guys, thanks again. Steve, where can they find us, bud?
They can find us on the internet at www.ruttenriverpursuits.com, on Facebook, Rutten River Pursuits Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter at R2 Pursuits. Download the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Castbox.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You got to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Follow us all as individuals as well. I think
R2 Buck.
That's a hot one right now.
I've been trying to,
Post
what
one
do you
once
try
a
my
month.
best. Well, trying.
What's trying though? I mean, what's that look like for you?
Well,
Take
I've got to
it
get out there
easy.
though too, bud. I mean, and when I'm not out, I'm not going to take a selfie of me on the couch. That's for sure.
We would love to see that, though, bud.
And
You've been out a lot.
yeah, but I have a hard time of just taking.
You're in the moment.
My problem is, guys, is I don't want to just show blind or tree stand selfies. I'd rather have. Here's what all my hard work and sitting out here paid off to be, and I haven't had that yet.
I'm
So
right
I
there
haven't-
with you.
I bet you more than you know. There's a bunch of people that live vicariously through you and your misadventures.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just
So
want to do
share
something different.
Share it with
you know?
your fans.
Something different for Uncle Buck, and that's with the deer.
Go listen to the old podcast too. Once again, they're a lot of fun.
Alrighty. Peace.
Laters.
Get you some.
What I learned out there and what I've used since then with that product, I haven't had a deer blow on me in probably 9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like it'll take care of the dudes out there that smell like Italian hoagie and
Fresh onions.
fresh onions.
Phil, what
Man must.
was
Man, Mark.